Hey BookTube, this is Friday Reads. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and I have a lot of books to tell you about this week, so I'm just going to jump right in and start talking about them. And the first was The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. I finished this last weekend and I loved it. It's by Mark Haddon and it is narrated by Jeff Woodman. Wow. It is all about Christopher, who has high-functioning autism, and he begins to discover some things in his life that have been kept from him. And also, he begins to discover, because of those things, some things that he is able to do that he didn't think he could do. And really, just such a great book. Such a great book. I loved Christopher's personality. I loved seeing the world through his eyes. It was just the best. It was just the best. So yeah, 5 stars, and I highly recommend that book. Then I finished Rippler. This is by Cidney Swanson, and it was narrated on audio by Sarah Mollo-Christiansen. The narration was good, largely unremarkable. I didn't hate it or love it, either one. When I started out, I thought it was very slow, but I was able to speed it up and it was fine. The book is about a girl that can become invisible. It's the start of a series, and there are all kinds of things in this book going on. Everything from how this happened to how it keeps happening, and the genetic markers and medical conditions that lend themselves to it. You know, it's like it's inherited, they think, and then we get into, you know, the whole conspiracy thing. Who knows about it? Who wants to do away with everybody that does know about it, and all that kind of thing. It's YA. It's moderately entertaining. I didn't love it. I gave it 3 stars, but, you know, I was entertained by it as I read it. I don't know that I'll continue with the series. I think it's 6 books in this series. So there's a lot more that's going to happen beyond the first book, but I don't know that it drew me in so much that I'm interested in continuing. Then I finished Unlocked. This is by Margot Kelly, and it is not available on audio. This is a YA mystery about a girl who gets hypnotized at a carnival and the effect that it has on her life. This is true mystery, I mean, and suspense. So, you know, you've got stuff happening and you have no idea why. This girl begins to change into another person almost, and she has no clue as to why. She is driving home from the carnival, and she has had a hypnotic suggestion and starts seeing things and ends up wrecking the car, and one of the friends in the car gets killed, and then her boyfriend and her best friend are hospitalized for some length of time. She's fine. So there were some unrealistic parts in the book where she went back to school right away, and nobody was really paying attention to this girl. Like her mother, where was her mother? Where were her school counselors and teachers? So, like, nobody was really paying attention. And then this book started down a path where it mixed some paranormal aspects of demonic possession with hypnotism and other things. And it drew a couple of things straight out of the Bible, but corrupted them, like turned them around and put a different spin on them and changed them. And that pissed me off. It really did, because, you know, you may not be a Christian, but the Bible is sacred to Christians, and you don't take sacred text and turn it around like that. I don't care if it's fiction or not. I didn't like it. It upset me. And while this is a good mystery, that just ruined the book for me. There's even one instance where a pastor talks to this main character in a church, and it's like the author couldn't commit. It's like she was afraid she was going to offend her secular audience or something. And I thought, then don't include any of the paranormal aspect at all. I mean, authors do this all the time, where they pull in, you know, angels and demons, and gosh, have you read The Mortal Instruments? I mean, even Harry Potter's, all that kind of stuff. But it's treated well. It's treated in a fictional sense. And this didn't do that. This tried to bring it into real life and water it down, and I didn't like that at all. I have a lot more to say about it, and I said that in my Goodreads review, but those were some serious problems that I had with this book. You know, either go there or don't go there, but if you're going to go there, then do it right, and she did it wrong, and I didn't like that. Okay, so I gave it 2.5 stars. I did round it up to 3, but the more I think about it, the more time passes, the more I think I'm going to give it 2. Just, man, that just really kind of ticked me off. Okay, then I finished Fraternize by Rachel Van Dyken. This on audio is narrated from 3 points of view by Summer Morton, Jeremy York, and Aidan Snow. Okay, yet another situation where the publisher got it wrong. Daggone it. I hate this when this happens. Okay, this is a book. It's about the NFL. And you have 2 best friends in high school, and something happens to kind of break them apart. And then they meet up years later, and he's in the NFL, and she's a professional cheerleader. And this guy is described as having an Ethiopian mother who is absolutely stunning, and a Puerto Rican dad. And he has these just mesmerizing blue eyes. And so he has like this coffee colored skin, and he's beautiful. I mean, of course he is. He's in a romance novel. This is new adult romance. But on the cover is a white guy. And Jeremy York voiced this guy. Jeremy York sounds like a stockbroker on Wall Street. Seriously? It's like, these publishers, why can't they just figure out, like, pay a little bit of attention to who the characters are and represent them accurately? Man, I don't understand. It would take so little effort to do that. So little effort. In my review of this book, I went back and found some narrators that I thought would be fantastic as this voice for this guy. And I listed them all in my Goodreads review because I thought, daggone it, if nobody is going to speak up about this, then nothing's going to change. Publishers are going to keep not paying attention. And, that's just wrong. You need the right voice in terms of an audiobook narrator, and you need the right people on the cover representing the characters. So that really bothered me. Aidan Snow was good. He was good. And Summer Morton was very good. Jeremy York, he wasn't bad. He wasn't a bad narrator. He just didn't represent the character. And I had to just kind of let myself go and, get involved in the story so that I would really forget the sound of his voice and the fact that he didn't sound like what the guy should sound like, and just move on. I just was able to be more invested in the story than in the narration. So I had to purposely set that aside. So yet another situation that kind of ticked me off. But the story is good, and the story surprised me. It went a direction that I didn't expect for it to go, and it takes a lot to surprise me with new adults. So I gave it 4 stars, even with the narration problem. I just thought it was a great story. It was just all about miscommunication, and can friends be lovers, and how do you take a relationship that was one thing at one point, and does it translate to being that same thing again, or something different in a new and better way, or all of that. That was just, I really liked it. And I'm definitely going to read the next installment. So yeah, 4 stars for that one. And then I picked up What I Didn't Say by Kiri Taylor. This was a reread for me, and I read this about 3 years ago. It's narrated by Matthew Donahoe, and initially I didn't remember liking the narration very much, but I started out reading the book, and then I thought, I'm just going to switch over to the audiobook because I already owned it. So I did, and I'm glad I did, because while he is not a voice actor, as it were, he is a good narrator, and I was right there in the story. I didn't get taken out of the story. He didn't really do voices, but you always knew who was speaking, and so I didn't have any problem with that. And the book went faster this time than it did the first time. And again, that's more about knowing what's going to happen and realizing that you can pay attention to the little details the second time through. So this book is about a boy who has a disability. He is mute. He's in a car accident that shreds his vocal cords, and so he is physically unable to talk because they have to remove them. And so he's a popular kid at school. He's on the football team. He's well liked. He's the third of 7 children in a big family on Orcas Island, which is part of the San Juan Islands off the coast of Washington State in the Pacific Northwest. So it's a small community. Everybody knows what everybody else's business is. And he's been in love with this girl since he met her freshman year, and now they're seniors, and so it's the story of their romance. Probably that's the easiest way to put it, but I have to tell you that him dealing with his disability is the tip of the iceberg with this book. This book is about so much more than that, and it doesn't get crowded. It doesn't do any of it badly. There are great characters, great friendships, great parents and parental figures. It's very accurate in its portrayal of what it does portray. It doesn't gloss over anything. I mean, this guy, he basically goes through the stages of grief with regard to his disability. And it's interesting to watch him go through these stages and to watch that romance progress. So I loved it. I cannot recommend this book enough. It's highly underrated. And it's just so good, just so good. It's YA contemporary, and if you have not read it and you like this genre, then read it because it'll blow you away. It really will. And the last book I read was Nyxia by Scott Reintgen. This is narrated on audio by Sullivan Jones, and it was brilliantly narrated. Boy, if I were going to give the narration marks, I would give it 10 out of 5 stars. Because it was that good. It was that good. What I loved is there's so much diversity in this book, and they got the narrator right. They got it right. As wrong as that other book was, this one was that much right. This character is named Emmett, and he is a guy who gets chosen to go on a space mission where he is one of 10 candidates who has to prove that he deserves to go. He has to vie for a slot because only 8 of them can go. Emmett really wants to win, but he also does not want to become a terrible person doing it. And so he does a lot of struggling with his conscience and kind of hearing the voice of his dad and his grandfather and his mom, and trying to be the best guy he can be. And he's faced with some horrible choices, and some bad stuff happens to him. But overall, it was just a great ride. I really liked it. I was sad to see it end, to be honest. I got it from Penguin Audio as an ARC, and I loved it. I loved it. And I gotta tell you, Sullivan Jones was amazing as the narrator. He did accents. He got all of them right. This Emmett, he just captured him perfectly. Oh, I could not have been happier about that. So yeah, I ended up giving it about 4.5 stars, but I did round it down to 4 because I think I want to reserve judgment until I read the next few books in the series. So right now I am listening to a book that I cannot remember the name of. This is terrible. A Semi-Definitive List of Worst Nightmares by Krystal Sutherland. And on audio, this is narrated by Tara Sands. I picked this up as an ebook initially and started reading it and thought, I bet this would be good on audio, so I grabbed it from Audible, and I'm glad I did. It's interesting. It's about a girl who deals with social anxiety, and boy, just saying that is such an understatement because there's so much going on with this book. But it's a very clever book in that it's in the way that it's written. So she's trying to face her fears, and it's good. It's really good. I like it. I'm also going to pick up Then and Always by Dani Atkins, and it is narrated by Susan Duerden, and it is kind of new adult contemporary as far as I can tell. I picked this up at the Dollar Tree, I think, and then I found it on Audible, so I grabbed it there. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of in the mood for that right now. Yeah, probably pick up some more romance. I'm just kind of in the mood for that. So anyway, if you've read any of these books, I'd love to know what you thought of them, especially if you listened to them and you thought the narrator was good or not good and why. So let's talk about all that in comments, and have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.